Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is a brand new What If. What if Tanjiro had darkness breathing, part 1 of 2? And as always, please show some love to the video. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And yeah, as I said before, my intention is to do a little bit of everything here. I want to swap back, at least for now, swap back and forth from Tanjiro to Deku stuff, kind of keep things fresh for myself. And then eventually add in some other animes as well. Don't worry, I do have plans to do other stuff too. But with all that said, I don't want to waste much more of your time. So let's get right into it. Let's get it. This what if starts with Tanjiro Kamado at his home. His home that he has an entire loving family. And Tanjiro, well, he would treat them with all the love and respect you can possibly think of. All he would do is cherish his family. He would do things for them as much as he possibly can, help them out whenever he possibly could, and that would include heading down to the village to sell coal as much as possible. And one day where he believes that if he sells some extra coal, he would actually be able to, pay for a little bit of a better end of year for his family. So he decides to take the trip during the heavy snow. And as he takes that trip, heads down and finally makes it to the village, he spends some time with the village people, and also, well, helps them out as well. Tanjiro is known to be a helpful person, known to be a very nice person, and known to be somebody who would do really anything for anybody. And this is the type of person you would always want around you. The type of person you would always want to treat with respect and cherish your entire life. And Tanjiro would help all the villagers, but eventually would lead to the nighttime coming. And it would eventually lead to him not being able to head up to his home because of the arrival of the darkness. And Tanjiro would look out into the darkness itself and wonder, maybe he should just walk up. Maybe he should just walk up and go and head up and not worry about it. There's something comfortable that he feels about the darkness itself, but he's not so sure. He's not 100% sure. Now, he does decide to eventually stay at an older gentleman's home and decides that, you know what, maybe it's best for him to stay here just in case that you don't want to run into anything bad. You don't want to run into any creature of the night, right? So he decides to stay there for a while. And as he stays there throughout the night, the next morning he heads up. But as he heads up, he not only can feel this embrace of darkness, but he also begins to smell absolute blood. He doesn't know what it is, where it's coming from, and what's even happening necessarily, but all he smells is blood, and it makes him extremely uneasy, and he wonders to himself, what is going on? What is happening? So as he goes up, as he heads up, and as he eventually arrives at his own home, he starts to realize something. That something is extremely wrong, that something is really bad. He looks closely at what's happening at his home, and he realizes quickly that his family is gone. But not in the sense of left or abandoned in him. No, they're gone in terms of death. And this would shock Tanjiro entirely. He would begin to feel a sense of darkness overcome him and a sense of grief overcome him, leading to him panicking. But eventually hearing the breath of his own sister, Nezuko Kamado, and realizing that she survived, picking her up and running her off. But eventually he's pushed off into the snow, and he realizes that Nezuko isn't who she usually is, and she has been turned into something more devious, something known as a demon. And this would be a very, very bad thing to occur, especially because, well, what happens is that Nezuko begins trying to literally kill Tanjiro. But luckily enough, someone by the name of Giyu Tomioka is able to save him, or at least able to help him to a certain degree. It seems like Giyu Tomioka comes out of nowhere, a demon slayer, a strong one at that, and actually, well, is about to eliminate Nezuko. But as he goes to eliminate her, Tanjiro pleads to him to not do this, don't do this, and eventually it leads to Tanjiro taking action into his own hand and trying to strike down Giyu. And as he throws the axe into the sky, and as he attacks Giyu Tomioka, he may be defeated, but he proves just enough that Giyu decides to leave Nezuko alive and decides to allow Tanjiro to prove his worth. And that worth will come from, well, Nezuko herself obviously proving that she will protect her own brother even though she's a demon, but also the proof of Tanjiro being a proper demon slayer, leading to Tanjiro and Nezuko going off and heading off to where Urokodaki is, basically a sensei that once trained literally Giyu Tomioka, one of the Hashira. And on top of that, this would lead to Tanjiro and Nezuko encountering their first demon, known as the Temple Demon. The Temple Demon is one that is scary, but as the darkness begins to cover the entire area, Tanjiro begins to feel stronger and faster and more mighty, and as the demon would attack them, he would be able to dodge and weave and get out of harm's way. Nezuko helps with fighting, and yes, they're unable to kill it because they don't have like a sharp blade or anything like that, or even a blade of Nichirin, but they're able to keep up with it to an extent, leading to Urokodaki arriving, tying the thing up and making it so it no longer can move, and waiting for the sun to arrive. And as the sun arrives, it burns up the demon and destroys it entirely. And as the demon is gone, Urokodaki tells the kid that not many people can keep up with a demon like that, and well, not many people have a demon sister that doesn't even want to eat them. And that is definitely something to keep in mind. Definitely something that nobody necessarily would have expected. And at the end of the day, well, let's just say Tanjiro and let's just say Nezuko are on a wild ride for the rest of their lives, at least for now, because Tanjiro trains like hell with Urokodaki, leading to Urokodaki realizing that he is far weaker in the daytime than he is than the nighttime. And he realizes that there is a hidden potential within the kid, a potential to utilize the darkness. And this is when he tells him to truly understand and learn this new breathing style he could potentially utilize. And he begins to learn and create something known as darkness breathing. And this is potentially a very potent version of a breathing style, kind of implemented with the idea of having a demon with him. And Nezuko's awakening and Nezuko's turn actually fully awakened his ability to create darkness breathing, and now he is more powerful in the night, just like a demon, but still with all the faculties of a human being and the will, the want, and the loyalty that all of them hold. And Tanjiro Kamado continues to show off his abilities and continues to get better and better, coming up with a couple forms that would allow him to really unveil this breathing style or this darkness breathing that will help him in the long run. Now, after some time of training with Urokodaki, with the spirits of Makomo and Sabito, he would eventually be able to cut through the giant boulder and eventually would have the preparations to head to the final selection. And the final selection being in the darkest of areas heavily helps him. And as he progresses through the demon-filled forest, it seems like Tanjiro's abilities continue to sharpen, just as sharp as his blade. And the powers he's portraying and the strength he's portraying seems to be stirring even more than you think. Because when a demon slayer or a future demon slayer gets attacked by the demon known as the Hand Demon, he shows off the third form of his breathing style called Veil of Dusk. It's a more defensive move, but as he does this, it stirs shadows all around and it acts as a smoke screen, and it makes it look as if various shadows take the form of Tanjiro, confusing the Hand Demon, leading to him getting the upper hand and leading to him using his second form, the Blackout Spiral. He spins and creates a vortex of slashes, disorientating the enemy and or the demon and cutting through multiple angles of the demon, eventually cutting through the neck and cleanly cutting through multiple different parts of the handyman as well, saving a fellow demon slayer, but also saving a ton of other people that would normally die with his, well, innate ability to truly control the darkness itself. And as he finishes the quote-unquote final exam or the final selection, it seems like Tanjiro is now ready to become a demon slayer, as he stands with many other future demon slayers to pick their Nichiren ore. But there are a couple people watching Tanjiro attentively because they're wondering what he can truly do and how he was able to do what he did. And Tanjiro kind of doesn't really think too much about it, but does stop a kid by the name of Genya from hurting one of the kind of the head people that run the final selection. And after he grabs his ore through his sense of smell, he heads back to Urokodaki and Nezuko to see that Nezuko is now awakened and that Urokodaki is there waiting and happy that he arrived. And this is when they begin to prepare for his future Demon Slayer missions and his embarking on those said missions. And when he gets his first blade, when he gets his first sword, the sword itself would not just turn black. It would turn into this deep violet-like color, almost like a kind of a mix of this violet or deep violet and black itself. And it seems as if he kind of can control that blade depending on the darkness. During the light itself, it's not as potent, but when it becomes nighttime, the blade becomes even deeper and becomes even stronger. And it seems as if Tanjiro really is borderline the counter to the demons that believe that they get every single advantage during the nighttime. And he would get his chance to prove that to be the case when he goes on a mission and embarks on this mission and meets with Kazumi. This person, this guy, actually had and watched his wife get kidnapped out of nowhere. And this was because of a demon known as the Swamp Demon. And this demon is a scary thing because of its innate abilities. But Tanjiro begins his hunt during the nighttime, leading to him actually realizing that he has an ability to kind of sense where these demons are through the shadows themselves. He doesn't know or even how he's even doing it, but he knows for sure that he is doing it. And that, at the end of the day, is what matters. So eventually he would come across the Swamp Demon before it would even attack a girl and try to take her under, and a fight would break out, and Tanjiro would begin to show the kind of speed he has within the darkness. And the Swamp Demon would even think to himself that this guy, he moves so similar in speed to demons themselves, and he doesn't understand how. Tanjiro would continue his show of abilities as he kind of shows off the third form Veil of Dusk once again. Like I said, a more defensive move, but he does stir the shadows, and it acts as a smokescreen, allowing him to get an upper hand and allowing Nezuko to even kick the demon in the face and Tanjiro to slice the demon's head off quicker than normal. And in one foul swoop, the demon would fall within the darkness itself and would be in his last little kind of communion with life. He would see something. He would see the shadows and see the darkness creeping up on him. And soon his eyes would be covered with the darkness itself. He would be shocked, thinking that he has no idea how this is happening and what this kid is. But whatever he is, it's something terrifying. And at one last glance, as the darkness would cover him, he would see the earpiece-like earrings on his ears, or on Tanjiro's ears, and realize that he is so much scarier than he even thought. Because as Tanjiro continues and pushing forward, it seems like the earrings or the acts of how he looks becomes more and more apparent, because when he goes on his next mission, arriving at the city that never sleeps, Tanjiro would have his first encounter with Muzan. Yes, the king of all demons, and he would stand face to face with him, thinking that this is the moment. He would go to strike, go to end this now, as the darkness would surround him once again. But then he would realize he has a kid there, a wife there. He doesn't know what Muzan is doing. He doesn't know what's happening, but he obviously is doing something out of the ordinary, and he decides to hold back and hold off on it, and hold off on actually fighting and or killing the King of Demons, but he doesn't even know if he would be able to in the first place. So he watches as Muzan walks away, and as Muzan turns a random person into a demon, and Tanjiro handles it, saving everyone there. But this would lead to him meeting Lere Tamayo and Yushiro for the very first time, speaking to them about Nezuko, speaking to them about what he wants to do, and speaking to them about his want to cure Nezuko from being a demon. And as this kind of conversation continues, eventually two people would come knocking, or two demons by the name of Susumaru and Yahaba. And Tanjiro, he is pissed by this. He is very, very upset. And as he walks out, darkness and this kind of cloud of darkness would begin to show up, would begin to surround everything and surround everyone. He would even spot one of the demons hiding within a tree and another one standing directly in front of him. And Tanjiro would say that they have one chance to leave right now, or he's going to take all that darkness and all that anger out on them. They laugh in his face. Both Susumaru and Yahaba show themselves and say that he must be some sort of jokester, that at the end of the day they are superior to him. But in one slash, a single slash, he not only cuts through a ball that gets kicked his way, but he cuts through the neck of the female demon in one foul swoop, and in one singular shadow crescent slash, his first form of darkness breathing, and defeats the female demon in one foul swoop. And Lere Tamayo and Yushiro watch very closely as they watch a breathing style and or a breathing technique and or kind of an ability by a demon slayer they have never seen before. And as they watch intently, let's just say there is a little bit more fighting and a little bit more action, but it seems like a 2 versus 1 wasn't enough. So why would a 1 versus 1 be even close to enough? And that is the truth of it. Tanjiro has his day and has his way, and easily is able to defeat the 2 demons that would just show up, and the 2 demons that would just show up out of nowhere. And he would handle his business, handle what he needs to, and on top of that, he would prepare himself for an eventual kind of action that he wants, the eventual arrival of getting some sort of kind of cure for Nezuko, and a cure that he longs after so much, and a cure he wants so freaking badly, because he knows that if he gets that cure, if he helps his sister, he can truly make a big difference, and he can truly make this world better, and his family didn't have to die for nothing. And that right there makes it enough for Tanjiro to keep on pushing. So as he finishes up here, as he gets more information from Lere Tamayo and Yushiro, and after he learns that he needs to get the blood of the 12 Kizuki, he heads off to his next mission, meeting up and also finding a kid by the name of Zenitsu begging a girl to marry him, but he pulls him off and tells him that he's not in the mood for this right now, and that they need to get going and get pushing, because they have people and demons, or people to save and demons to stop. And Zenitsu is absolutely freaking out, thinking that he doesn't want to die, he doesn't want to do this, he doesn't want to do that. And Tanjiro's like, dude, we gotta go. So he pulls him away, says goodbye to the random girl, and they go off to fight whatever demons are within this mansion. But on top of that, Tanjiro and Zenitsu help 2 little kids find their brother. But the group eventually is split up, and Tanjiro encounters a demon by the name of Kyogai. Kyogai seems to be the strongest demon within here, and Tanjiro doesn't waste any time. But as he goes, the rooms begin to shift and begin to flip, and it seems as if the room flipping actually is about to affect quote-unquote Tanjiro. But as Tanjiro moves forward, well, Kyogai doesn't realize that he actually used a different form, leaving behind an after image of where he was as a shadowy kind of figure. And now he's realizing that Tanjiro isn't where he was and is actually in the perfect spot to end the fight borderline instantly. His fourth form, known as Phantom Step. And as he Phantom Steps all his way through, he after images and leaves kind of this dark like image, confusing Kyogai entirely. He's right on his side, on his right side, looking for one swing and one swing only. And as he does, he spirals and he spins as he creates kind of a vortex once again of slashes, slashing through not only Kyogai's neck, but also through his multiple parts of his body. And this would shock even an incoming Inosuke, who drops down and looks to see Tanjiro not only has defeated the demon, but has defeated the demon very easily. And he is flabbergasted by this. He's looking at Tanjiro thinking that this doesn't make sense. How was he able to do this? He must be strong, so they should fight. In which Tanjiro looks at him and says, how about they fight after they get out of here? Because he doesn't have any intentions of doing much else. And, well, let's just say Inosuke finally agrees to this, but he says that he's going to get the other demon kills on his own, running away and fighting other demons. And Tanjiro helps get the, well, not only the other kids out of there, but also the brother that they came in here looking for, eventually getting everyone out. And eventually he stands waiting for Zenitsu and Inosuke's arrival. And when they come out, Inosuke comes out swinging. Inosuke, out of nowhere, starts trying to hit and punch and slash at Tanjiro, but Tanjiro is able to at least hold his own. But since the daylight is all surged out outside and he's not in a dark area, it definitely is a lot more difficult for him when combating with someone like Inosuke, leading to Inosuke getting the upper hand, but Tanjiro eventually headbutting him as a last resort, and Inosuke would get knocked out entirely, and eventually it would lead to a bit of a draw where Inosuke says that he's going to train his head to basically defeat Tanjiro, but refers him as Banjiro. Now, after all this is said and done, they all group up as a team, Zenitsu, Tanjiro, and Inosuke, and Inosuke is basically told to stay away from the box and or the sister that is in the box. And eventually he would listen after some, a bit of struggle, because we all know he's a bit of a stubborn person, but he eventually listens and he decides, you know what? Okay, fine. I won't bother whatever's in that box. And eventually he says that he just wants a proper one-on-one eventually again with Tanjiro, to really see what he could do. And, and see if he could really keep up. And Tanjiro's like, okay, like, whatever, that's fine. Like, he doesn't really care. But Tanjiro is basically ready to head off to their next mission, but is stopped by an older woman who actually gives them a place to stay, some food to eat, and some time to kind of sit back, relax, and, not do anything too crazy. Everybody needs some downtime, and that's exactly what they're going to be given. Some downtime to breathe, to eat, to relax, and also just prepare themselves in general. And that's perfect, especially because Tanjiro obviously is looking out for some time to relax as well, and so is everyone else. As they get that time to relax, to rest, and eventually they get their next mission, and their next mission is to investigate Mount Natagumo. And now Mount Natagumo seems pretty damn scary, but Tanjiro is ready to go, but Zenitsu is quite the opposite, refusing to even go up, but Tanjiro says he has to go anyways, and the only thing that makes Zenitsu go up eventually is the thought that Nezuko is forced to go up with her brother as well. But honestly, the reality is, having Nezuko with him makes her even more protected, and that's what Tanjiro at least believes to a large extent. But Tanjiro's up there, and Tanjiro and Inosuke discover the demon slayer kind of puppets, and they're both able to handle, to a certain degree, to cut through different webbing and stuff like that to help out. But another challenge would come around as Tanjiro would actually see Rui watching them from afar. The fight with him may not be right now, but it's something that Tanjiro realizes that demon is far greater than any other demon that they're dealing with, at least at this moment. And this would lead them to more and more challenges, as they would lead to facing off with the Spider Demon's doll. Now, this is a lot more difficult than the other demon slayers, but the Spider Demon's doll basically has no head. So they have to figure out how to slice through it a certain way. So Tanjiro utilizes kind of after images and kind of feints and fakes to basically distract the Spider Demon doll, leading to Inosuke sawing through in kind of like an X-like shape, sawing through the neck and sawing through it so that he can destroy the demon's doll once and for all, and then eventually leads to Tanjiro having the kind of upper hand and the ability to strike down the mother spider demon. But this time around, she would not get a very happy cut through, as Tanjiro would phantom step right to where she is and slice through her neck in one foul swoop. And well, this time around, let's just say Tanjiro wouldn't be thinking about how soft, how nice, and how cordial he would be when he slices through, and he doesn't really do much along the lines of helping out and making it a little less painless. So he slices through, defeating the demon, and honestly preparing himself for whatever is to come next, and preparing himself really for what could possibly happen next in basically this Mount Natagumo forest of some sorts. And eventually they would have an encounter with the father spider demon, believing that this demon is actually like a high tier, maybe even 12 Kizuki like demon. But crazy enough, he's just extremely durable, not actually being a part of some sort of 12 Kizuki or anything like that, but is very, very durable at that. And as this father spider demon would begin to attack Inosuke and Tanjiro realizes that cutting through it, yes, may be simple in practice, but he really needs to get a proper strike on it. But as they're kind of fighting and going back to back, head to head, Tanjiro would kind of try to help out Inosuke a little too much, leading to him getting smacked and thrown really far, and he tries to catch himself on the mountain, but is forced to actually leave Inosuke by himself to face off with the demon on his own. And Tanjiro has to hope that, well, Inosuke can handle his business all on his own. And that right there is a little bit scary in its totality, but he has to trust that Inosuke can do it, and has to trust that Inosuke can handle his own business. So he lets Inosuke handle that business to a large degree, as he faces off with Rui once and for all, and he watches as Rui berates his little sister, what seems to be his little sister, and Tanjiro tells him asks him why he would do such a thing, why treat her so badly, but he just says that she's useless, and that it seems as if Tanjiro's own sister might be more useful than his own, so it would be good if he decides to take her from him, in which he says he'll do after he absolutely destroys him and ends him in battle. But of course, Tanjiro has other ideas, and the fight is insane. Tanjiro uses his kind of defensive and fast and after image like abilities to really kind of get the upper hand on Rui, but at the same time, Tanjiro can feel the power that Rui is really exuding. I mean, yes, his abilities are pretty damn impressive. And yes, his abilities help even more within the darkness. But at the same time, keeping up with a demon like this is not good enough. He might be able to keep up, but he needs to be able to end it. That's what he needs to do. And Nezuko, well, she would be forced to come out to fight. But it's not just that. Because when Rui grabs her with his strings and strings her up and basically puts it so she can no longer move and basically held in the air, it seems as if when she's stringed up, she begins to actually dissipate into the darkness itself, appearing right next to Rui, kicking him directly square in the face, sending him flying, leading to Tanjiro appearing out of nowhere, spiraling once again, and slashing straight through his neck. And this would even end Rui for good. And it would be shocking because he would lay there completely out with his head completely off, and he would ask how his sister was able to control the darkness just like him. And Tanjiro looks at him and doesn't even give an answer, as eventually Rui would disappear and just disappear into the wind itself. And Tanjiro, well, he awaits whatever's to come because he can sense and smell other people arriving, and especially a particular smell that he's met before by the name of Giyu Tomioka. Tomioka would arrive and see that Tanjiro finished the job, and he would smirk just a little bit and then hide his smile away, thinking like, you know what, the kid ain't too bad. Seems like he's, somewhat or potentially somewhat useful in a way. And he kind of just says that the kid's potential seems to be off the charts, but eventually a fight would break out between Kanao and Shinobu with, well, Giyu and Tanjiro. But after a short fight, a fight that led to, well, Nezuko running away, at least briefly, eventually, the crows would sound once again and say that they're fine and that to leave them be. And eventually Tanjiro and Nezuko are sent off to the Butterfly Mansion, and they are trialed to an extent. Trialed by everybody there. And yes, the Wind Hashira would tell everyone that there's no changing anything. That Nezuko is a demon and that she's going to do horrible things. But eventually, Ubuyashiki would convince everybody else otherwise, and Ubuyashiki would tell them all to leave them be, and that they have the vouch of Urokodaki, Giyu, and now of Tanjiro and Nezuko, that Nezuko will no longer hurt a human, and will never hurt a human. And she proves this even with Saname, or the Wind Hashira, trying to basically show her or basically give her his blood, and she refuses, not doing it, not reacting, and for the most part not doing a single thing. And this leads to them being allowed to be demon slayers, and leads them to be able to push through their normal scenarios. And this would lead them to train, and during their rehabilitation, Tanjiro would get stronger and stronger, and Tanjiro's potential continues to grow as he learns more and more breathing style techniques, and as he sharpens his ability to utilize darkness breathing. And he may not give up the best test scores up front because of, during the daytime and stuff like that, he's a lot weaker. But in dark areas and in darkness itself, he's far stronger. But every last bit helps him massively. And when finally he's given a chance to really show off what he can do, during training itself, he shows off a new style. A style he didn't know about, and a style that clashes with darkness and light. And that is known as the Hinokami Kagura. And as the Hinokami Kagura, is shown once again, or as he shows himself doing it, everybody is in awe. wonders how he was able to do it, but also wonders what's even going on. And Tanjiro, well, he wants answers as well, and the only answers he'll get is from Kyojuro Rengoku, at least someone like him, because he is not only the fire-breathing Hashira, but he might just have information on what we know as sun-breathing. So this takes the trio, after long bits of training, to the Mugen Train, and they would have finally arrived to meet the smiling Hashira known as Rengoku, eating and really enjoying everything in life. And of course they wonder how good and powerful he truly is, and he shows them all when he defeats the train demons that show up out of nowhere in a one foul swoop. And Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke know that he is truly the real deal, and this train, well, is truly under his protection. But a fight with a demon and an up-and-coming demon, or two in fact, is more than you could imagine, because Enmu is not the only demon they're gonna have to deal with, at least not right now. Now with that said, the Mugen Train is up next, but that is where we're going to end part 1 of 2 of What If Tanjiro Had Darkness Breathing. And if you enjoyed, please show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and hope you guys show some love to the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.